Thank you for staying with us. Still journalist hangouts. And the Nigeria Labour Congress has finally given the federal government that ultimatum of the 2nd of August, till the 2nd of August, for them to take action, because they feel that what Nigerians are going through, what workers are going through, is unbearable, and it's their responsibility to hold government.
Well, like we've said, this is not a time to grandstand. It's a time to face the reality. Because what we can see...
You think anyone else is grandstanding?
I mean, no, they can't go on strike. But I'm only saying it's not even a time to do so. It's not even a time to issue threats. It's a time to sit down and find solutions to what the issues are. Because if you go on strike, it still will not change the fact that we are damaging our economy and leaving the issues we should tackle now for the future.
The workers are saying that you should put us into consideration first. You would have put us into consideration. By the time you are removing the subsidy, you would have rolled out your palliatives or increment or whatever.
Now, when you say that, it means what we want to live out in this country is just for about 10% of the whole population. You are talking about palliatives for workers who are government workers, because you can't go to private companies and begin to tell them that they should do these palliatives. That's what we are saying. Can we do the realistic check? If you say they will begin to make Nigerians to ask questions that we are beginning to ask now. What's their percentage? What are they even contributing to the economy? What are they contributing to the economy? We've asked questions here. All of the people in the oil sector that have been producing nothing, how much are they earning a month?
They earn higher than the salary.
They are
president.
They are higher than not. So they shouldn't let us get to the point where we have to ask those questions. Unfortunately, what has happened now is that the removal of that subsidy from petrol has opened the eyes of other sectors, including what we just discussed on electricity. Look at what has happened in the universities too. The university said, we are not increasing tuition. But if you are doing science, bring some money, let us buy chemicals. Let us buy this that we need. Because that is the reality now. Everything that we do, we want to put on government. But our own money is our own money. My money is my money. The country's money is our money. That is not the way to go now. The way to go now is to sit down and ask questions. What can we do? If government had that money, do they think that the palliative will not come earlier? Look at what state governments are doing now. Some are adding 10,000 per month and all of those. For how long will that? But let's look for sustainable. Sustainable. And we've been talking about it. A lot of things must work. And those things, they start from these civil servants themselves. So they must be able to put those things in place themselves. If our refineries are not working, you and I don't work there. These same civil servants work there. If Ajaokuta, that should be providing us the bulk of the things they should be using to produce meters for this country, is not working 30-something years after, and all the money is pumped in, then we should begin to ask those civil servants and their political masters questions. So they shouldn't bring all of these threats of strike. It's not what we need. Because if you grant the country at this point in time, we are going to go more into penury. And like we said, people that we go to borrow money from to do these palliatives, they are looking at us and they are saying money flowing around, which we are not utilizing. It's a big issue.
Jide, do you think it's wrong to threaten strike? Do you think it is not the responsibility of the Nigerian Labour Congress to say, look, we had it was 500 and something naira, now it's 600 and something naira. Do you want them to sit down, to watch the government till they get to 800 naira before they fight for the rights of the masses or workers?
See, it is the right of labor to fight for the interests of their staff. It is well within their right to fight for the interest of their members, but it is the approach that is wrong. Ajero's approach is a very childish one. I've been around for some time. I've seen labor leaders, the greatest of them all, Sumonu.
Adams.
I was growing up, not Adams.
Not Adams.
Not even him who say that
It's close to Sumonu.
Hassan Sumonu.
Hassan
Sumonu, sorry.
Who also headed labor unions in Africa. You know? Minimum wage, when they fought for minimum wage in the early 80s, he was the one who led the charge. He's still so respected today. Very effective, but he will not insult you. He won't call you wicked, unconscionable. It's like my friend just even grabs a thesaurus and he uses that thesaurus to find the words that he can use to abuse people in government. How would they comfortably sit with him at the negotiation table? There are limits to what labor does. You know how much I fought for ASU? And also the guy will go to meeting, he will just simply talk anyhow there. I didn't want to say this. I fought for ASU from the beginning to the very end, even against their colleagues, Konwa. And a government led by a man who had pity for you, who even stepped in at a point trying to see whether he could end that strike when he was not in government. They come up with an idea, let us create a loan scheme so the guy will be the first to come out and say, no, it will not work. It will not work. What is your business?
When you do not even give it an opportunity?
It's meant for students, not for lecturers. How is it your business? In this place, because in this place, we were encouraging the former speaker, Right Honorable Fem Gbajabiamila, because he was doing his best to end the strike. Gbajabiamila even went to the point of inserting money in the budget. He got the president to agree.
Yeah, supplementary budget.
What did Osodeke do? Osodeke accused Gbajabiamila of conning ASU. How do you want them to feel? These are people who have treated you with utmost respect. Every opportunity, you abuse them. Oh, this party, and people should not vote for this party. Now, as we speak today, Nance has met the president. ASU has not met the president. Because the people who should take you before the president, you've been abusing them by talking anyhow at meetings. Even we that we supported ASU, we are embarrassed by some of those statements. That is the point that we are making. You don't have to show that you see, everyone is a hothead. I'm a hothead myself. But as a leader, leading a people, you know certain things. You don't have to say certain things. Now, if you accuse indirectly now or directly self, you call Gbajabiamila a con man. That's a man who had been fighting from the beginning. Even the resident doctors matter. Gbajabiamila had to insert money for training because it was one of their demands into the budget before they stopped their strike. Now, how will he feel if the current president of NMA, of resident doctors, calls him a con artist? So there are limits to these things. And when you are negotiating, there are things that you don't have to say. If I were ASU NLC president, for example, because I think he already sees himself as being in competition with TUC. TUC gave 2 weeks. He quickly gave 1 week. We know the game now. He doesn't want TUC to steal his thunder. So he is giving 1 week. Where were you before TUC gave their own ultimatum? Where were you when the former CBN governor flogged us with utmost suffering? No attempt was made. Which suffering can be worse than that one? When somebody had to drive all the way from here to Ogbomoso to give his mother physical cash. Which suffering can be worse than that? Were we not buying our own currency? But you didn't think it was wise to go on strike at that time. No effort was made by Ajero to go on strike. Why won't people say it's political? Why won't people say see through some of what he's saying? No one is saying don't go on strike. Go on strike. But for me, I believe that saying they should reverse the decisions that they've taken, take us back to subsidy, you are wasting your time. Nobody will reverse it though. Because part of what they are saying that
that's the ultimatum.
Nobody, he said he will no longer hold meetings with them unless they went back. But he went back to meet with them when he saw that TUC was meeting. So no one is saying don't go on strike. Strike is a natural thing for workers.
And legitimate too.
It's legitimate. We don't even go on strike here. Go to South Africa and see the headquarters of strikes. So
even in France.
We should be looking at what can we do. The world is moving into electric cars, Tesla. And they are selling a lot of those cars. We should be telling our government that, because look, if we bring in a lot of those electric cars, you will save more than 80% of what normally you used to run your vehicles. 80%, because all of the carburetor, engine parts and all that mechanics are using to corners. You don't need, maybe just your brake pad and all that. That's what. So they should be encouraging government, come up with ideas. Government, set up charge centers. If you are driving with an electric car, for example, you can do 300 kilometers without needing to charge. That means you can go to Ibadan and back.
Some can even do up to 8 hours.
So now to ensure that I'm going to Port Harcourt, for example, create those charging points. Yeah. That is where Tesla is doing very well. Setting up those, create those charge points on the way to Port Harcourt. Maybe several of them I will charge. You don't even need to wait until you exhausted your battery power. You charge. It's 45 minutes. It charges from 0 to 100. You are on your way. No emission, no costs. And it is not electricity, because I've had some ignorant people say, oh, is there a country that has not got electricity that will do? It is solar power. Those charging points, they run on solar. That's the way it should be. So we should be suggesting to our government what to do. Not be thinking of going back to the subsidy era. That's not going to happen.
All right. And finally, when the suspended